Golf has always been a sport of quiet precision, yet sometimes, a single moment can shake its very foundations. Rory McIlroy's recent press conference did exactly that. In one honest admission, he turned the calm, controlled world of professional golf into a storm of questions, opinions, and emotions. Rory revealed that rival leagues had approached him with massive offers, testing his loyalty and challenging the PGA Tour's long-standing dominance. Behind polished trophies and serene fairways, his words exposed a growing tension. Players caught between legacy, personal values, and the lure of enormous contracts. The reaction was instantaneous. Social media exploded with reactions, memes, and heated debates. Fans praised Rory's honesty as a rare display of integrity, while others worried it might stir tension within teams or deepen rivalries between competing tours. Regardless of opinion, one thing was clear: golf's traditions were facing a major shakeup. This revelation came on the heels of the high-stakes 2025 Ryder Cup at Bethpage Black, an emotional battleground where every decision carried weight. Rory's transparency gave the world a rare glimpse into the precious players face, the tough choices they navigate, and the high-stakes power struggles quietly shaping the sport's future. For professional golf, this isn't just about one player's decision, it's a turning point. With rival leagues offering huge contracts and more flexibility, loyalty to established tours is no longer guaranteed. Rory McIlroy has become a symbol of this evolving landscape, and the world is watching to see who will define golf's next era. Rory McIlroy, leading Europe's charge, faced pressure from every direction: passionate fans, fierce rivals, and the weight of his own legacy. The crowd's energy was intense, sometimes crossing the line into poor sportsmanship. Every swing, every glance, every word carried more than just the game's weight. It carried expectation, pride, and scrutiny. In a rare and emotional moment, Rory shouted across the course, "Shut the up!" A shocking outburst in a sport known for calm and composure. Instantly, the clip went viral. For fans, it was a glimpse into the mental strain players endure at the highest level. The Ryder Cup had transformed into more than a competition. It became a test of nerves, pride, and emotional endurance. Under Captain Luke Donald, Team Europe faced not just their rivals, but a charged, sometimes hostile, environment. Noise, distractions, and personal remarks pushed players to their limits. Yet, Rory and his team channeled the tension into focus, fighting back with grit and delivering a performance that showcased skill and unbreakable mental toughness. Reactions to Rory's outburst were split. Some criticized him for losing control. Others recognized it as a raw, human reaction to unimaginable pressure. Either way, it propelled the Ryder Cup into global headlines, not only for the golf but for the intense emotions simmering beneath the surface. This emotional storm reflects a larger shift in professional golf. Rival leagues are emerging, threatening the PGA Tour's long-standing dominance. For decades, the tour stood as the pinnacle of golf, where legacies were built and dreams realized. But now, the landscape is changing, and moments like Rory's outburst highlight just how high the stakes have become. But now, the PGA Tour's long-standing dominance is being tested like never before. New rival leagues have stepped onto the scene, offering massive financial packages, flexible schedules, and promises of freedom, a tempting mix for players fatigued by the grind of traditional tours. Loyalty is no longer guaranteed, and golf structure, long considered untouchable, is being challenged from every angle. These leagues raise major questions about the sport's future, especially for iconic events like the Ryder Cup, which rely on having the best players from both the PGA and European circuits. The game now teeters on the edge of transformation, and no one can predict which way it will go. If top golfers start leaving the PGA Tour, the Ryder Cup's legendary status and competitive integrity could face serious threats. In response, the PGA Tour has already made bold moves, increasing prize money, adjusting schedules, and creating new incentives to keep its stars on board. But rival leagues carry their own appeal: freedom, comfort, and financial security that are hard to resist. This isn't just about money. It's a signal that professional golf itself is evolving. The sport now sits at a crossroads, where ambition and opportunity collide with tradition and loyalty. Rory McIlroy's recent admission that he'd been approached by one of these leagues makes the pressure unmistakably real. The tug-of-war between legacy and opportunity has become one of the defining battles of modern golf, and everyone, from fans to executives, is watching closely. For decades, the PGA Tour has stood as golf's gold standard, a symbol of prestige, discipline, and greatness. Every aspiring golfer dreamed of standing shoulder to shoulder with legends. But now, rival leagues offering massive contracts, fewer tournaments, and more freedom have shaken that dream to its core. Players are facing a deeply personal choice: remain loyal to the grind and tradition of the PGA Tour, or step into a world of financial comfort and creative freedom elsewhere. This clash between loyalty and opportunity is testing even golf's most respected names. Pride versus practicality, legacy versus lifestyle. These are questions that every top player must now answer. Leaving the PGA Tour isn't simple. It risks status, friendships, and eligibility for iconic events like the Ryder Cup. Every decision carries consequences, and Rory McIlroy's recent revelation has thrown that inner conflict into the global spotlight. His honesty pulled back the curtain on how blurred the lines of loyalty have become, raising tough questions about integrity, legacy, and what professionalism really means in today's game. The Ryder Cup itself is under pressure. Once the heart and soul of global golf, it relies on unity between the PGA and European tours. Rival leagues chasing top talent now threaten that unity. If too many stars switch sides, the Ryder Cup's competitive edge, and its legendary status, could be at risk. The PGA Tour has responded, raising prize money, adjusting schedules, and experimenting with formats to maintain loyalty. But the lure of flexible schedules, lifestyle perks, and massive contracts from rival leagues remains hard to resist. Today's players aren't just competing on the course. They are weighing freedom, wealth, and long-term well-being against tradition and legacy. Loyalty is no longer simple, and the tension is forcing players, captains, and officials to adapt fast, or risk seeing one of golf's most cherished events begin to fade. The Ryder Cup has always been more than a tournament. It's pride, teamwork, and heritage. But now, its survival depends on whether passion and loyalty can withstand the temptations of a rapidly evolving sport. Rory McIlroy stands at the eye of the storm, a player caught between history and change. His admission that rival leagues have reached out revealed the tension between holding on to tradition and chasing new opportunities. For Rory, this isn't just a financial decision. It's a defining moment that could shape both his legacy and the future of professional golf itself. This moment is about more than money. It's about legacy, loyalty, and the kind of future he wants for the game he's helped define. The pressure is immense. Joining a rival league could put his PGA Tour status, Ryder Cup eligibility, and long-standing relationships at risk. Yet staying loyal means embracing the relentless grind of the traditional system while protecting his reputation. McIlroy's dilemma mirrors the struggle facing every modern golfer, balancing short-term gain against the timeless values that made golf what it is today. What makes his situation so impactful is his honesty. By openly discussing the offers he's received, Rory has sparked a crucial conversation about player influence, fairness, and the evolving power dynamics in the sport. His transparency forces golf's biggest institutions to confront tough questions about control, innovation, and the future of the game. Whatever he decides, the ripple effects will stretch far beyond his own career. His choice will shape how players, fans, and organizations define loyalty, integrity, and ambition in this new era of golf. Rory's revelation didn't just make headlines, it opened a new chapter for the sport. By daring to speak honestly in a world that often hides behind silence, he's made everyone rethink what's truly at stake as golf evolves. Today, as the dust settled, whispers behind closed doors grew louder. Agents, sponsors, and league executives scrambled to reposition themselves, sensing the balance of power was shifting. The old guard wanted to preserve order. The new wave pushed for freedom, shorter schedules, more creative formats, and direct engagement with fans. Golf is no longer just a game. It's a battlefield for influence, ambition, and the future of a legacy sport. McIlroy, without even meaning to, had become the symbol of a new movement, one that questioned everything about how professional golf operates. Inside locker rooms and boardrooms, conversations grew tense. Some players quietly admitted they'd received similar offers but stayed silent, fearing backlash. Others felt inspired by Rory's honesty, believing it was finally time for athletes to have a real say in their futures. For decades, the system demanded loyalty without flexibility. Now, that contract was being rewritten, not by executives, but by the players themselves. Rory's truth-telling had opened the door to a revolution no one could fully control. Meanwhile, the PGA Tour worked overtime to protect its image and retain its stars. New initiatives were announced, increased player bonuses, global expansion promises, and refreshed tournament formats. Yet the tension was palpable. Fans were divided, some standing firmly behind tradition, others drawn to the excitement and freedom rival leagues offered. Golf was no longer just about competition. It had become a test of identity, values, and the fight for relevance in a rapidly changing world. Rory found himself walking a tightrope, admired by millions for his courage, yet criticized by traditionalists who saw his openness as a risk. But even his harshest critics couldn't deny the power of his words. Sponsors began reassessing where influence truly lay, not just in the boardrooms of the PGA Tour, but in the voices of players connecting directly with audiences worldwide. The rules of the game were being rewritten. For the first time, players weren't just participants, they were the driving force. Behind the scenes, the ripple effect of Rory's candor was undeniable. Other stars began speaking out, cautiously acknowledging the pressures, temptations, and choices that come with fame and fatigue. The debate spread beyond golf, sparking discussions across the wider sports world about how much control athletes really have over their careers. Commentators called it the Moroi effect, a moment where transparency shattered the quiet code of professional sports, and the game itself would never be the same. What made it all so powerful was how human it felt. Rory wasn't rebelling. He was reflecting the same questions many players silently ask. How much is too much? When does loyalty become a limitation? These weren't just business decisions anymore. They were moral, personal choices shaping how the next generation would define success. The golf world was realizing that evolution wasn't a threat. It was inevitable. And Rory's voice had become the spark that lit the fuse. As weeks passed, tension around his future reached a fever pitch. Rumors swirled about secret meetings, potential announcements, and growing divides within the sport's top circles. Yet through it all, Rory stayed composed, reminding everyone that his mission wasn't to tear golf apart. It was to push it forward. He envisioned a game that embraced progress without losing its soul, a sport where players could thrive without burning out and fans could feel closer to the action than ever before. Whether he stays loyal to the PGA Tour or explores new horizons, one thing is certain: Rory McIlroy had already changed golf forever. His honesty forced everyone to confront uncomfortable truths and ask harder questions about loyalty, legacy, and leadership. Behind polished smiles and press statements, quiet negotiations unfolded. Powerful figures from both the PGA and rival leagues reached out. The stakes were enormous. His choice could shift billions in sponsorships and influence. For the first time, one golfer's decision carried the weight of an entire sport's identity. Insiders described it as a cold war within golf, a battle fought not with clubs or swings, but with strategy, leverage, and public perception. Fans debated endlessly online. Hashtags trended. Podcasts speculated. Every Rory interview was dissected like evidence in a global investigation. It wasn't just about golf anymore. It had become a cultural moment. Rory's calm presence amid the chaos only added to the intrigue, showing that even under immense pressure, he carried himself with class. Yet beneath that composure, decisions were quietly brewing. Decisions that could redefine the hierarchy of professional golf for years to come. As the world focused on Rory, other top players watched in silence. Some waited to see if they would follow his lead. Others hoped his stand might force change from within. Behind the scenes, alliances were forming, old friendships tested, and the once stable structure of professional golf seemed ready to crack. The PGA Tour, realizing its grip was weakening, began planning reforms, more player input, better scheduling, and a new era of transparency to rebuild trust. But the energy in the sport had already shifted. Fans were now louder, more connected, and more invested than ever. Social media turned tournaments into global conversations overnight, and players learned they could shape the narrative on their own terms. Rory's honesty didn't just challenge golf's power structure. It reshaped how the world engaged with the game. Quiet Greens became a stage for one of the most dramatic transformations in modern sports history. Rory McIlroy's courage to speak out didn't just shake golf's foundation. It redefined what honesty looks like at the highest levels of sport. Whether he stays loyal to the PGA Tour or helps shape something entirely new, Rory has already changed the way the game will be played. Not just on the course, but behind the scenes where decisions define the future. This isn't just about contracts or trophies. It's about values, integrity, and the power of standing tall when the world is watching. Rory proved that even in a sport built on calm precision, emotion, courage, and truth can drive real change. The fairways of golf may never be the same again, and fans will be talking about this moment for years to come.